Hi everyone, my name is Danny Phoenix Kane, aka Tourette Researcher, and I am back for my second video. So today, based on a viewer's suggestion, I want to start to explore the rather complex world of Tourette's and the interaction it can have with coexisting conditions. As a disclaimer, all the reviews I do are my own interpretation, this time of the journal articles I have listed in the video description. So what do I mean by coexisting conditions? Coexisting conditions or comorbidities are where someone has multiple conditions that may impact on a condition we're considering, which in this case is Tourette's. And it's pretty relevant. Most studies indicate a higher than average association of Tourette's with other conditions, with one study quoting a 60% occurrence of obsessive compulsive, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and autistic symptoms in Tourette's patients. However, and as you can imagine, the shared or similar symptoms in coexisting conditions compared to Tourette's makes it very difficult to tease out which condition is causing which behavior. In autism and Tourette's, for example, common features include stereotyped repetitive behaviors that are aggravated or worsened by heightened emotional states. Which brings me to the focus of this video: movement within autism and tic disorders like Tourette's and the similarities and differences between them. So to start off with, what is stimming? Stimming, also known as motor stereotypies, are repetitive body movements that often serve to self-stimulate one or more of the senses in a regulated manner. Although those with autism do these types of movements more frequently, everyone does them sometimes. Typical examples are hand stimming, including hand flapping, body stimming, including rocking, and vocal stimming. These movements tend to help with self-soothing and self-regulation, gaining control of the body, or helping you process environmental stimuli. They can also be conscious or unconscious. For example, one of my stims is to rub my hands together when thinking, and often I don't know I'm doing it until someone asks if I was like cold or actively comments on it. What are tics? Tics can be motor or vocal, simple or complex. Examples of simple motor tics include jerking of, say, the head, arm, or leg, and grimacing. Examples of simple vocal tics are like sniffing and throat clearing. Complex tics can have motor and or vocal components, but are more involved than simple tics, like full sentences or full body movements. I also find my tics are suggestible to things I am seeing or hearing around me. What are the key differences between stimming, stereotypies, and tics? So one of the articles I read by Mills and Hedderly had a great table for this, so I will take you through it. Usual age of onset. So tics typically begin in childhood at around 4 to 5 years of age, though may not be fully noticed until later at around 9 to 10 years. Stimming, however, seems to begin in the very early stages of life, 2 upwards, and can present in those with normal development and without neurological disorder. Movement characteristics. So although on the outside there may seem a lot of crossover between tics and stims, and indeed an individual can have both, tics tend to be sudden, repetitive, non-rhythmic motor movements or vocalizations, which can wax and wane, change and evolve over time. Stims, however, are much more fixed in nature, often not changing much over time, and tend to last a lot longer when performed. Triggers and other elements. So common triggers for both are like excitement or stress. However, I also consider that maybe stimming tends to be more to do with processing or regulating one's own environment if something has become sensory overwhelming. Tics have a higher degree of suppressibility and pre-awareness compared to stimming, and both may have family links. Treatments for tics varies both in type, e.g. it could be psychological, pharmacological, or even surgical, and have varying degrees of success, whereas stimming is rarely responsive to medication. I think the main thing to consider when looking into how a movement disorder may be presenting for yourself or for a loved one is to consider recording or writing a movement history. This should consider the age of onset, where these movements are located, and how they have progressed over time. When have they been at their worst, and how does it affect the person emotionally and physically? Are there any warnings or urges that precede them? What environmentally triggers or has triggered them? I found this really useful for when I was going through getting a diagnosis. By understanding myself, and I was able to convey in detail my experiences clearly in appointments. So that is all for me today, guys. Really hope you enjoyed it, and please comment and suggest any other topics you may want me to cover.